Okay, Stakelberg model was a model developed by a German economist known as Erich Stakelberg. Erich is like this.
H-E-N-R-I-C.
Erich von Stakelberg. And the model is an extension of Connaught model. And the model is an extension of Connaught model. The model is an extension of Connaught model. Are we there? The model is an extension of what? Connaught model. And the model believes that one duopolist is sufficiently sophisticated. Believes that what?
One
duopolist
is sufficiently sophisticated.
Duopolist like this is sufficiently sophisticated to recognize his competitors' acts. On Connaught's assumption.
Recognize what?
His competitors' acts on Connaught's assumption. Now, under this duopoly, there are three things you are expected to learn, and most times they used to come out in exam. Connaught model, which I have taught you, Bertrand model, and then Stakelberg. Yes, I can remember the faces that were here when I did Connaught and Bertrand. Everybody here was there except Leko, I guess. So let's take a question on Stakelberg model. How can a question come? Look at this. Given
What?
P equals 100 minus 0.5 x1 plus x2
It's yours.
No. Your is my own is yours.
Oh, you go.
Why?
Mas please, I don't know.
Very personal. Oh, I can't do
You can't be. I can't do it.
Which one we give me just for me?
Okay, look at this question. Now, given that the price function is this, and the cost of duopolist 1 is this, cost of duopolist 2 is this, find the optimal output and profit of the duopolist using Stakelberg model. It will be stated in the question that you have to use Stakelberg model. Be stated. So can we please do this together? So once I finish all of this, the next thing I'll move to will now be demand function, where we look at Marshallian demand function, Diction, Shepard-Lemma, Rawls, and you want to go and eat. What do you want to go and eat? When I finish this one, we will eat. Follow, please. So, solution. The first thing you will do is to get the profit function of each group list. When you say group list, what that means is that two sellers it's only Sholafumi and Beni selling that product. So Sholafumi is duopolist 1, Beni is duopolist 2. So let's first get the profit function of duopolist 1. So for duopolist 1, the profit function, profit is always total revenue minus total cost. Are we together? And then profit is total revenue is always price times quantity. Hello? Hello, are we together?
Yes, sir.
Total revenue is always price times quantity, but in this case, our quantity is represented by X. So that's why I have X1, because I want to look for profit 1. And why do I have cost 1? Because I want to do duopolist 1. So I'll use the first cost function. So this total revenue is price times quantity. I already know my price. Then I multiply with first quantity because I'm looking for profit of duopolist 1. Now I'm using first cost because I'm using profit of, I want to find profit of duopolist 1. So let's do that together. So I'm going to have profit 1 will now be equal to, what is the price? 100 minus 5.
0.5.
That shows you are following. 0.5 x1 plus x2 into x1. Do you agree? Minus 5x1.
Yes.
Do you agree with what I've just done here?
Yeah.
This one is the whole of the price. And the x1, I put it there. Linda, Prince, then minus c1. C1 is 5x1. David. So let's expand the bracket. What do you have? So profit 1 will be 100 times x1. 100 x1 minus 0.5 x1 and x1. What will it be? 0.5 x1 squared. Do you agree?
Yes.
The 0.5 times x2 times x1 minus 0.5 x1 x2. Do you agree? You are lost. Report. Then minus what? 5x1. You see that? 100 times x1 is 100 x1 minus 0.5 times x1 times this x1 will give me minus 0.5 x1 squared minus 0.5 x minus 0.5 times x2 times x1 will give me minus 0.5 x1 x2. Then this minus 5 x1, put it there.
I have a question. Why didn't you open the bracket first?
Because you are in year 5. I don't want to be treating you like you're one student. Can I continue? So, but you understand, right? So from here now, let's try to differentiate the profit 1 with respect to x1. That is, I want to differentiate what I have here with respect to x1.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ask.
That x1 squared and the x1, are they not the same?
Which x1 squared?
Minus 0.5 x1 squared. No. Yes, and minus 5 x1. Yes.
This one half squared and this one does not have. So they are not the same in that context. The power are different. So you can't add, you can't subtract, you can't do anything. Can I continue, guys? We are differentiating with respect to x1. So differentiate 100 x1. What was that?
100.
100. Shall I ask me how far? Then differentiate minus 0.5 x1 square. What would that give me?
x1
Minus what? Minus x1 now.
Okay, yes. Minus
2
x1.
times 0.5. Is it not 1? Then if you minus 1 from this, you will have x1. Then differentiate minus 0.5 x1 x2. What will you give me?
minus 0.5
Minus 0.5 x2. Do you agree? Because you are differentiating with respect to x1. Then if you differentiate minus 5 x1, what will you give me? Minus 5. Abi? Now if you tidy this up, 100 minus 5, what's that?
95.
95 minus x1 minus 0.5 x2. Now if you equate this to 0, so if you say 95 equals 95 minus x1 minus 0.5 x2 equals 0. If I bring these two to this side, eventually I will have x1 plus 0.5 x2 equals 95. Do you agree?
No.
If I equate this to 0, minus x5, if you bring it here to change to plus. Minus 0.5 x2, if you bring it here to change to plus, then 95 is still at this side. Who is not clear with this? Okay.
That 95 is not possible.
So, if I decide that I want to bring this and this to the other side, 95 will stay at this side, right? 95 will be equal to minus x1 coming here will be what? Plus x1, abi?
Yes.
Minus 0.5 x2 coming here will become what? 0.5 x2, abi?
Yes.
Therefore, it's the same thing as x1 plus 0.5 x2 equals 95. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is duopolist one reaction function. Duopolist one reaction what? Because they can ask you to find the reaction function of each duopolist. They can ask you that. Can I continue, guys? Why? Wake up, wake up.
My sectors is working now.
Okay, let's copy.
Duopolist 2. Okay, you want to copy first?
Yes.
Okay, Auntie. Okay, for duopolist 2, CR minus TC. So 2 will now be P times X2 minus C2, right? So who can give me what I will write? 100 minus 0.5 x1 x2 into bracket what? x2 minus what? 0.5 x2 squared. You are lost, report. Prince. Prince, if you are lost, report.
Your Coco phone is running with
Now camera will be insult. The camera with the camera is lecture. And make you change position, sit for this side. Guys, can I continue please? So let's expand together. Let's expand together.
No.
Let's expand together. So what would that be? 100 x2, yes. Minus what?
0.5 x1 x2.
0.5 x1 x2 minus what?
0.5 x2 squared.
0.5 x2 squared.
Minus 0.5 x.
Are we there? Who is not there? And minus what? 0.5 x2 squared, right?
Yes.
You are lost. Report to the nearest police station, and that is me. Okay, let's tidy up this. Profit 2 will now be 100 x2 minus 0.5 x1 x2 minus, you know this, minus 0.5 x2 squared minus 0.5 x2 squared. So minus minus, you know it becomes, so x2 squared. Do you agree?
Yes.
Because there is 1 here. Minus 0.5 minus 0.5 will give me minus 1. So, but there is no need for me to write the 1. Shalafini, you got that? Auntie, how this one became x2 squared? Are you clear? Minus 0.5 x squared minus 0.5 x squared will give you this. There is a visible one here. Minus 0.5 minus 0.5 will give me minus 1. Okay, so from here, let's find the x2, the pi to the x2, differentiate with respect to x2. What will I have? 100 minus what? 0.5 x1 minus what? 2x2. Do you agree?
Yes.
Mr. Prince, say the truth, let the devil scatter. Say the truth, let the devil scatter, if you understand. Okay, from there now, equate this to 0. 100 minus 0.5 x1 minus 2x2 equals 0. So leave the 100 here. Take this 2 to the other side. So you have equals 0.5 x1 plus 2x2, right?
Yeah.
So writing it well, I'm going to have 0.5 x1 plus 2x2 equals what? 100. So this is duopolist what?
Two
reaction function. So a question can ask you to find reaction function. Now it is always assumed in, okay, let me give you time to copy this now. So in Stakelberg model, it is always assumed that duopolist 1 is more sophisticated than duopolist 2. So on that note, you will substitute the reaction function of duopolist 2 inside the profit function of duopolist 1. I will repeat that again. In Stakelberg model, you always have two duopolists, duopolist 1 and 2. It is always assumed that duopolist 1 is sophisticated, is more superior. He has the understanding of the market than duopolist 2. So for you to be able to get anything you want to get, substitute the reaction function of duopolist 2 inside the profit function of what? Duopolist 1. What I just said now, you might want to put it down as a note. So now, who can tell us what is the profit function of duopolist 1? What is the what is the profit function of duopolist 1?
x1 plus 0.5x.
Profit 1 equals what?
x1.
No, profit function of duopolist 1. Profit function 100 x1.
No. 0.5 x1 x2. x1 squared. Minus 0.5 x1 x2. Minus 5 x1. Minus 5 x1.
Not 0.5.
No, after that one.
Guys, do you understand where she got this from? Profit function of duopolist 1. You know it is from that profit function we got the reaction function.
Yes.
That profit function. You will now substitute the reaction function of duopolist 2 inside the profit function of duopolist 1. That's what we want to do. Now the reaction function, let's try to make our x1 the subject of formula, or x2. Now from the reaction function, of duopolist 2, what's the reaction function? 0.5 x1 plus 2x2 equals what? 100. We want to make x1 the subject of formula, and then we now substitute it inside this profit function. So how do I make x1 the subject? So that will be 0.5 x1 equals 100 minus 2x2. Do you agree? This plus 2x2, bring it here to change to minus. Divide both sides by 0.5. This will cancel this. x1 will be 100 divided by 0.5 minus 2x2 divided by 0.5. So what will be our x1? 200 minus 4x2. Do you agree?
Yes.
Please check.
Yes.
100 divided by 0.5, then 2 divided by 0.5. Is that it?
No, it's 100, not 200, it's 100.
Which one is 100?
That's 100, it's 100.
It's
No, it's
100
200.
divided by 0.5 is 200 now. Am I right? Check.
Yes, I've checked. 200.
I did just see.
Okay, so let's now substitute that in this place. So substituting that in this place, I'm going to have profit 1 equals 100x1 minus 0.5x2, 0.5x1 squared minus 0.5x1x2 minus 5x1. So what we want to do is that anywhere we see x1, we want to put this one there. So let's go. So that will be 100 into bracket 200 minus 4x2, then minus 0.5 into bracket 200 minus what? 4x2 squared minus 0.5 into bracket minus 0.5 into bracket what? 200 minus 4x2 x2, then minus 5 into bracket what? 200 minus 4x2. Am I right? Have I done magic?
No, you're right.
So I'm substituting x1 inside this profit function anywhere I see x1. So let's tidy this. Expand it. What are you going to have?
300 minus
100 times 200 is 20,000, right?
yes.
So to lie 100 times 6, what's that? 400 x2. Then minus 1.5 times 200, what's that? 100 minus 100 minus 1.5 times 4, that would be 2, Ali. Oh, no, we can't do that.
It's square.
We can't do that.
Square.
This is 4x2. So minus 0.5 into 200 minus 4x2, 200 minus 4x2. Do you understand?
Yes, it's there.
This one square means this one 2 times. So I write it first, write it second. You see that? Then expand the rest. Minus 0.5 times 200 times x2. What will I give you? Auntie. Yeah, from the reaction function of glucose 2, from glucose to reaction function. What's the reaction function, please? Glucose 2.
5x1.
2x2 equals what? 100. So we want to make x1 the subject. So this will now be 0.5x1 equals 100 minus what? 2x2. This plus 2x2 will come here and change to minus. Divide both sides by 0.5. This will cancel this. x1 will be equal to 100 divided by 0.5 minus 2x2 divided by 0.5. That's shared division. So 100 divided by 0.5, what is that? 200. Minus 2 divided by 0.5, what is that? 4x2. So substitute this now in profit function of group list 1. What's the profit function of group list 1?
Make any please can I answer your
100x.
question?
Yeah, ask.
The problem I have with that 100 divided by 7, is it not we are going to do the LCM or we are just going to divide it straight?
Since they have the same denominator, which LCM, you will divide now. 100x1 minus what?
0.5x1 squared. Minus 0.5x1 x2. Minus 5x1.
Guys, can we continue? Anywhere we see x1 here, we want to put this. We want to put this 200 minus 4x2. So what would that be? 100
into brackets.
into bracket what?
200 minus
400 minus 4x2 minus 0.5 into bracket what? 200 minus 4x2 squared. Abi?
Yes.
Because of this square. And minus 0.5 into what?
200 minus 4x2.
200 minus 4x2 x2. Abi?
Yes.
And minus 5 into what?
200
minus 4x2. Who is lost? Yes. So now, I cannot say profit 1 is 100 into 200 minus 4x2 and minus 0.5 into 200 minus 4x2, 200 minus 4x2. You know why? Because this is square, so it appears twice. Still leave the other ones. Minus 0.5 into, let me use this x2 to multiply. x2 times 200. 200 x2. Do you agree? Minus x2 times 4x2. 4x2 squared. Then minus 5 times 200. 1000. Then minus 5 times minus 4x. What would that give me? Plus 20 x2. Right? Are you clear with that? Are you clear with that?
Yes.
So profit 1 cannot be 20,000 minus 400 x2 then minus 0.5 into bracket. Let's expand this one. 200 times 200 4 40,000.
No, 40.
200.
Is it 40,000?
40,000.
40,000.
Then 200 times 4x2
800 x2.
800.
800 x2 and minus 4x2 times 200.
Minus 800.
Then minus 4x2 times minus 4x2
Plus 16
x2 squared. Abi? Then minus, open this bracket, 0.5 times 200 x2 minus 100 x2 minus 0.5 times minus 4 x2 squared
Minus 2 x2.
minus 2
plus
okay plus 2x2
x2 squared. Do you agree?
Yes.
Because minus times minus is plus. 0.5 times 4 is 2. Then minus 100 minus 1000 plus 20 x2. Okay. Here now our profit 1 will now be 20,000 minus 400 x2 minus 0.5 into 40,000 minus 1,600 x2. Do you agree?
Yes.
Minus 800 minus 800 minus 1 plus 16 x2 squared. Then minus 100 x2 plus 2x2 squared minus 1,000 plus 20 x2. So let's come and look for a way to open these brackets now.
Okay.
So, yes, please.
We can have the 100 and the 20.
I want us to open everything before we now tidy up. Okay, so that will now be 2,000, 20,000 minus 400 x2. Please make sure you are following me, because once I make mistake and you didn't detect it, that's what you will copy. Then minus 0.5 times 40,000. 20,000
minus
0.5 times minus 16
Plus 800.
plus 800 x2. Then minus 1.5 times plus 16x2
Minus
squared
8x2 squared.
minus 8x2 squared minus 100x2 plus 2x2 squared minus 1000 plus 20x2. So with this now, I can now say let's tidy up. So our profit 1 will now be let's pick the ones that are ordinary constant. This is 20,000, right?
Yes.
This is also 20,000.
Yes.
They will cancel out.
Yes.
Then which other constant we have? 1,000. So I can say minus 1,000. Prince, are you following?
Yeah.
Then let's look at the one that have only x2. Minus 400x2 plus 800x2. That will be 400x2.
Yeah.
400x2 minus 100x2. 300x2. Abi? 300x2.
Plus
Plus 20x2. What is that?
320.
320x2. Now let's look at the one that have x2 squared.
Emma cancel again.
The ones that has x2 squared. No, there's no need.
Minus 8.
So this one has 8x2 squared
Plus 2x squared.
plus 2x2 squared. That's what?
Minus
6.
X.
No, now.
Minus
Minus 8 plus 2 is minus
Minus
6.
6x
Minus what?
6x squared.
x2 squared. Okay. So here now, what we have now is a quadratic equation. So equate this to 0.
Okay, this.
Equate this to 0. So you can say you have minus 6x2 squared plus 320x2 minus what? 1,000 equals to what? Equals to 0. Or we are not using that. Let's differentiate with respect to x2 and equal to 0. That's another shorter way. So here now, differentiate with respect to x2. The profit 1, the x2, what will it give me? 320 minus 16.
12.
Okay, 12
X2.
x2. Do you agree?
Yes.
Do you agree, guys? So here, equate this to 0. 320 minus 12x2 equals what? 0. So this is like say 320 equals 12x2. You know, minus 12x2 come here, we change to plus. Divide those out by 12. So your x2 is going to be what?
26.67.
26 point what?
67.
67. So if I have gotten my x2 as 26.67, I can get my x1. From here, you know my x1 is what? 200 minus 4x2. So my x1 will now be 200 minus 4 into what's my x2?
26.67.
26 point what? 67. Okay, open the bracket. What do you have?
106.68.
106.6.
0.7. Yeah.
So what would now be our x1?
93.3.
93 point what?
3.
93.3. So after getting my x1 and x2, I will now get profit. How do I get profit? Very simple. You know that this is the profit function of the police one. Now you want RVS. So this profit one now, if you want to get it, where you see x1, what will you put there? 93.3. Where you see x2, what will you put there? 26.7. So you get an answer for this profit one. Then you also go to profit 2. And then anywhere you see x1, put this x1. Anywhere you see x2, put this x2. You guys want to copy this? Get your profit 1, get your profit 2.
Answer it.
Oh yeah.